All
Nice
right.
thing about
Welcome everybody to AAC in the Cloud 2021. We're pleased to have Shaun Pearson, Katie Robertson, and Chris Bugaj present this next presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and let them take it away.
Hey everybody, thanks for being here. Put it in the chat. Just say hello, everybody. Go ahead and put it in the Slack. I'm going to see who's here and who's participating with us. Also, before we get started, we'll let you know that the slide deck is available, so you can check out all the hyperlinks that we have in the presentation. You can access that by going to bit.ly/unlockyourrole. That's bit.ly/unlockyourrole. Yeah. Oh, and Scott put it in the Slack as well. You can scan the QR code as well. Katie, tell us about yourself.
I was a speech language pathologist in Loudoun County Public Schools in the secondary schools, so grade 6 through post-secondary, for 8 years. And then I sidestepped to assistive technology 3 years ago because I wanted to focus more on helping these teachers really implement these systems in the classroom. I have been playing role-playing games for about 17 years now, including various Dungeons and Dragons campaigns and a Mouse Guard campaign that I still want to get back to because that was fun. And I'm still learning a lot about AAC. I want to learn more about POD. I want to learn more about alternative access, and I want to learn more about coaching communication partners of AAC. So if y'all are gurus in that, hit me up.
Hi, I'm Shaun Pearson. I am a registered speech language pathologist and currently residing in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, but right now currently in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I am very passionate about helping my clients improve their communication skills. I'm just going to skip all this, but I love any kind of board games or role-playing games. I even co-host a podcast called All the Bits, which is primarily about board games, but I also talk a lot about role-playing games and different kind of choose your own adventure type deals as well. So feel free to have a look at that and hit me up. I'm so happy to be here and to be sharing this unique presentation with y'all.
So my name is Chris Bugaj, and I'm the Assistive Technology Specialist for Loudoun County Public Schools. Katie and I work together, and like 3 or 4 times a week we see each other, remotely or in person. I get to co-host the Talking with Tech podcast with Rachel Nadel. Hi, Rachel. I see you in the Slack. And I've had the great fortune to write a couple books. The most recent book that's in paper format that you can get is called The New Assistive Tech, Make Learning Awesome for All. But there's another book that is actually coming out any day now called Inclusive Learning 365, which one of the co-authors I think is also in the Slack, right, Beth? Beth, are you there? It looks like you were there. And Katie and Shaun, I hope it's okay. I'm going to take a moment to just show this real quick because about 10 minutes ago, just before we were getting on, like we were chatting, like, what time are you getting on? Are we all getting on 15 minutes early? The doorbell rang at my house and this box came, and I just thought it would be super fun to open this box here together, everybody. This is a box.
Unboxing
if I can rip it open. Oh, it's filled with cardboard. Hold on. We don't want the cardboard. We don't need that. But what's in the box, everybody? It's super exciting because we've been waiting so long. Look at Beth. I got a whole box of books. The books are finally here.
Yay!
Look at that.
So you're seeing it first live right here. I've never seen the book before. Yeah, this is it. This is what it looks like. So I'm pretty excited about it. Wow, it's thick. Lots thicker than I expected. Okay, sorry about that. Let's get back into the presentation. I just had to share this with a bunch of my closest friends. Okay.
It's all good. This is me. What are role-playing games? So you guys can read the slide. I am going to explain a little bit more about it. a lot of times you create a character and the character will have magical powers or supernatural abilities. You can fly, you can cast spells, you're a wizard, you're a barbarian fighter, and you can wield a giant sword that no human would ever be able to wield. You have your character that you make up has skills and character traits that help or hinder accomplishing whatever goals you may have in your story. And the characters make choices, and the game master who oversees everything sort of determines what the consequences of those choices are going to be. There's also usually a set of rules that governs the world that everyone must follow. Just how fast can you walk? How fast can you run? How much health do you have? I think it's kind of like video games before they were video games. And we just had paper and pencil and imagination, and that's what we did. Sometimes the choices are randomized by a dice roll, and we'll talk about that more later too. So that's sort of a 2-minute crash course in what oh, you totally should, SBram94. He's never been an RPG player, but someone did a Kickstarter and made one for his favorite TV show. Do it. It's so much fun to interact with this world. And it has such potential in therapy and for all users of language, not just AAC users.
And yes, Brianna posted about Game to Grow, which might be the one that SBram was talking about. And yes, I believe I kickstarted that as well as soon as I saw it. Yeah, so our RPGs are very much less about winning and more about telling a collaborative story. So it's very much about creating this experience. And you guys let me know in the chat, especially if you're unfamiliar with RPGs, if this sounds familiar at all to you, especially if you're SLPs or have done any kind of literacy work. But it's all about creating this collaborative experience, and this experience that you can read through and you can go through with your clients or with your students or with your partner or by yourself, whoever you are, right? So it's all about not necessarily worrying about the winning and the losing, but more about creating this experience and this interaction. And RPGs are very much about choices, right? So if you guys kind of think of a book, as I was kind of alluding to on the previous slide, but thinking about just a shared reading environment, right? You're creating this experience with the reader and yourself, and you're creating just a positive interaction. But if you're thinking about a book, books are mostly kind of on rails, right? In that you have kind of the beginning, the middle, and the end, and you're going through it. RPGs are a little bit more about choices, in that they provide you kind of a safe way. Yes, you might be getting to the exact same ending every time you do it, but how you get there is different. I remember telling Chris about the first time I played an RPG with my daughter, when she was 3.5, and I said she did the exact same thing, and the exact same thing at the end. And I think Chris, your first question to me was, were there any differences in how she got there? Did she make any different choices? And that's all about what RPGs are, right? So you can make mistakes and learn from them. They're a great way to provide a framework for learning consequences, for practicing social skills, for gaining confidence in the things you can do. And again, we'll show how this applies to AAC users in a little bit as well. And expressing yourself and just communicating with others. I don't know if you guys have anything you want to jump in here.
Yeah, I want to add, Shaun, the analogy that comes to my mind here, especially when you're talking to people that are sort of familiar with AAC, is the concept of open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. When we ask closed-ended questions like, what do you want to eat? Well, and you have like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a crackers. It's like, well, these are the two options. You say peanut butter and jelly, or you say crackers. And that's sort of like the choose your own adventure novels, or some people have done it with PowerPoints, where you can choose but it's limited choices. It's limited, where an RPG is really more like those open-ended questions, where you ask a question that there could be an unlimited number of answers to. And that's really what was some of the power behind RPGs. Now, you can, based on the people that you're working with, decide to limit and scaffold those if you want to. But part of the beauty of it is that so many just wild and crazy and unexpected things can happen. The other thing that I think is super powerful about it is that just how inclusive role-playing games are. A quick little side story here is that once upon a time, I went to go visit a speech therapist at a school, and I didn't really know the speech therapist well. I got assigned at a school that I didn't know very well, and I go to meet her kind of for the first time, and on her door, as I'm walking into the school, are character sheets, blank character sheets for role-playing. And we were there to talk about AAC. I was like, hold on. You tell me what you do with this. And she's like, well, I run an after school club with the English teacher and a special ed teacher. And she's like, you actually, it's starting in like a half hour. If we'll hang out, we'll have our meeting, come down and see what it's like. It's like, absolutely. So we go down there, and it is this completely naturally diverse set of people playing together, having this shared collaborative story experience. Now, none of them were using AAC, but you could totally picture that they could be. There were certainly students with autism sitting there. There were certainly students with different racial backgrounds, different gender orientation profiles. It was like everybody just mixed together in this perfect harmony, and it was awesome. And everyone was having fun. They were all laughing and having fun.
So when we're thinking about RPGs, they're basically two parts, two roles for the game. They're the players. So if you look at these, the ones on the left side, and Katie referenced this program in the chat I see called No Thank You Evil, which I'm a huge fan of, and was the first RPG thing that I used, and I still use, and it's the one I play with my daughter, and it's the one I mostly use with my clients that I see. And then so those are the players, those are the characters within the game. And then there's the game master, which is this kooky little guy hiding behind the book here.
Katie, do you want to tell us what the game master does?
Sorry, I was distracted because Rachel and Beth were like, does somebody want to join an online group? And I was like, I will create one and you can join it. So what does the game master do? The game master sort of provides the framework for the adventure that you're going to be going on. They usually, as a group, you determine the setting, but the game master kind of controls all the variables that the player doesn't control. So they will have control of the enemies. They will have control over characters that the players encounter who are not other players. They will make decisions about the outcomes of dice rolls. If you're doing that with your kiddos, you don't have to. It adds more of an element of chance into things. They decide what exactly happens in a fight or in a situation if you succeed or you fail, and what that looks like. And they also try to make the experience enjoyable for everyone. So if the story and everybody having fun comes above any rule or anything like that, and it's the game master's job to make sure that everybody's having a good time and that the story is being unfolded in a way that is satisfactory.
In a therapeutic setting, this is usually an adult. It's usually the speech language pathologist, the teacher, but not always. In some cases, they might be there as sort of the guide on the side, and a student, like you see in this picture, that's my daughter playing, kind of taking the lead role here and getting her feet wet as sort of trying this. Go ahead, Katie. Sorry, I jumped in.
No, you're fine. Shaun, you had a story about articulation, did you not? And using role-playing games to target artic goals.
Yeah, so I had a friend, not using AAC, but I'll tell you guys kind of the story really quickly, who lots of motor concerns, had really been through the ringer for about 4 or 5 years in terms of working on his articulation. I got to him, one of his IEP goals was working on the SH sound. And so what we did is we created a role-playing scenario where everything his character had, he came up with his character all by himself, but everything his character had to have at least one word that began with the SH sound in it. So all his characters' weapons and clothes, his character had to wear, he wore a shawl, and his characters had flying shoes, and his character had a magic shield. And he came up with all these words, and he came up with them pretty much on his own, and he was so engaged in it. And was the first time in about 3 or 4 years, apparently, that was willing to work on this articulation. As Chris mentioned, he actually took this home and started doing it with his mom and his sister, which was terrific. Yeah, so that's my little story that I love so much.
I was actually going to say the exact same thing. Everything they encounter can conveniently have their sound somewhere in it. How's that? How about that? How does that work? Fluency, we know that our fluency folks can sometimes have an easier time speaking when they are pretending to be someone else. So this could be a really good chance for them to experience fluent speech or to practice fluency techniques while they are talking to other players. Inferencing, a lot of this is, oh, Chris is having everyone guess what core themes are. Inferencing, a lot of this is solving puzzles and problem solving mysteries. So you have to put together the clues to solve the puzzle. And that's what inferencing is. And for social skills, you can interact with people in character, pretending to be someone else, and out of character, being yourself, and experiment with those interactions, especially in character. You can do things that you would never normally do. I have friends that love to play sneaky characters that sneak around and steal things, and they would never steal things in real life. But this is an environment where you can do all of that stuff and not experience real life consequences for it. And you can use it with your kiddos to explore some behaviors that they might be doing that might make people feel uncomfortable, or that might be off-putting to their friends. And it's just sort of a safe world to explore that doesn't necessarily have real world consequences. And I'll let Chris explain core themes, but all I will say is that the 80-20 rule applies in fantasy worlds just like the real world. So
yeah, people guessed it in the chat. It's core words, but then plus morphemes. And the reason I like to use this phrase, core themes, is because there's such an emphasis on core vocabulary. But if you look at Brown's grammatical morphemes, and you look at the early age of development for morphemes, like ing, like past tense ed, those are really early developing skills that are often not targeted intervention intentionally. So because we tend to favor these core words. And so I'm sort of banging the drum, blowing the trumpet that we should be actually combining these concepts of core vocabulary and morphemes. We should be modeling and teaching them explicitly. Hence, core themes. You can target these in intervention.
All right, so I know we have some questions. I think Christine is wondering, for those of us who've never done an RPG before, if you're looking to dabble in this with an elementary AAC user, is there something that you can purchase? I would recommend watching this through to the end, Christine, and then coming back, because one of the great things about RPGs, especially if you want to kind of explore whether it's something you like, and I think, I don't know if you guys will agree with me or not, but it's something you can easily create yourself. And come up with ideas. That being said, this product, No Thank You Evil, which I absolutely adore, is only like $30, I think, for the base kit. And it kind of walks you through everything from a complete novice. When I first picked it up, I was a complete novice in terms of RPGs and running RPGs. So if you are looking to spend a little bit of money and want something that is very kiddo appropriate and very school appropriate. I will say that too. You know, a lot of people, when they hear stuff about RPGs, they're like, oh my gosh, D&D, you know, dragons and monsters and the occult and stuff that's not appropriate, which isn't true at all. But No Thank You Evil is very kiddo appropriate. So in terms of what do the players do, they get to create their character. So again, creating your character, you can do whatever you want, right? You can create something that is you, or you can create something that you just enjoy. I have these pictures down here. If you guys look down, In No Thank You Evil, you obviously just create a character. And this friend here was very into this Bendy the Ink something or other. I think it's a TV show. I'm unfamiliar with it, but he was very into that. So his character is Bendy the Ink Demon. And this other friend who we did it with, if you look closely, it says Heatwave is a robot. Heatwave is a transformer. He was super, super duper into Transformers. So he made his character a transformer. And it worked great, and they loved it. You can make choices about what your characters would like to do. Again, Transformer was acting very much like a Transformer. You can interact with non-player characters and interact with each other, right? That's something I absolutely love so much about RPGs, is because they allow, like Chris said, and Kay said earlier, they allow for that interaction. And kiddos and especially some of our AAC kiddos, and this, it pains me to say it a lot, but they have never actually been given that chance to interact with each other and with other kids. And it's horrible to say, but I have seen that. So it gives you that opportunity and to work collaboratively. So the same thing. Katie mentioned dice, being able to roll dice, being able to have that chance and that probability is there, and using your imagination and just having fun. Being able to do that is so awesome. And then props. Oh, I don't have all the toys my daughter made me bring here. I have a puppet. Props and respecting choices. So again, what is important to the players? What are the kiddos or the adults, if you're playing with adults, what are they into? What kinds of things do they like, right? Do they like Transformers? Do they like Bendy the Ink Demon, which is apparently from a survival horror video game, which kind of worries me, since I think this kid was like 7 years old. Who I played it with. What fascinates the kiddos, right? What are they into? Are they into Frozen? Are they into Disney? Like, what kinds of things are they into? What background knowledge? So those things that they're into, that's going to be the background knowledge that they have, that they're going to want to talk about. And when they make choices, we could just go with their flow and the things that they're, let them guide things. And that's another great thing about RPGs, is that if you think of our complex communicators and our emerging communicators, they have not gotten an opportunity in their lives to control things, to control a conversation, to control an interaction. And the amazing thing about using RPGs and collaborative storytelling is that it gives them, they can have complete control of what's happening.
It also can be a good way for them to use some of their favorite toys, dolls or action figures. Puppets, little animals, animal characters.
Cthulhu. Or no, that's not Cthulhu, right?
That's Cthulhu.
Oh, is that Cthulhu? Okay.
Definitely.
And then you have a whole other aspect of language you can do, like, oh, the hat is on, put it on his ear. Oh, yes, he wears a hat. And all that kind of stuff. And you can do that digitally too. We'll show you how. Just pull up image search on Google and you can put together all these things like what Shaun has put together.
So this is just
so much fun.
A quick slide with some of the things my kiddos that they've been motivated by and that they were interested in. So I just popped it here. My favorite, I have two favorites here because a lot of them are kind of self-explanatory. But one, if you look on this left-hand side, and they're behind me too, these are some characters who I've had in my stories and that the kids have been able to pick from who actually use AAC. And I have a few of them. A friend's daughter who's a really awesome artist made me up these pictures, and the kids love them. I print them up, I laminate them, and then if the kids want, for the ones who are able to write, they will write their stats and things on the background, on the back of them, on a dry erase, which they love. My other thing that I really love, if you look on this right-hand side here, is this. I have one kid, she absolutely loves making these clay animals out of clay, and every character in our story she has made into a clay animal. And she is like so happy. She will show them to me. When I saw her in person, she would bring them to me. And then she's continued making them. We've been seeing each other over video. And then just kind of other things that kids are into. Disney and Walmart seem to be two big ones for me. that a lot of my stories land up going to, just based on things that kiddos are really into.
Now, depending on your kid, like, and who you're working with, and your group, like Shaun said, they might want to make their own. So they could make their own using the clay drawings. You saw that in some of the pictures. But there's also different software you can use to make your own. One in particular here that I use all the time is something called Hero Forge. And so I'm just going to show it to you really quickly here. What it allows you to do is gives you this kind of 3D character image, right? And then you can make all sorts of avatar choices about what you want your character to look like. You can be all sorts of different species here. Here, let's make Mars, like, since we like that guy with the cat. Look, so now it can be like a wolf or cat sort of person, right? All sorts of options here. And then you can have different mounts. And what I really like about Hero Forge is that they also have inclusive mounts here when it comes to people with disabilities, as they have different wheelchairs that they can be in. It's pretty cool. And you can color it. And so, like, you could take a screenshot of this. They have a screenshot button. Sorry, it's underneath my my Zoom here. But you can take a screenshot of this, and kids can color them in, or it has a coloring feature where you can change your character to whatever you want it to be. Note one thing why I particularly like this website: no login. So I just went to the website, and there's no. I'm just creating here. I don't have to log in to start using it. That's one mod that I created. I created that one, and then I printed it out and colored it in with colored pencils.
Okay, so now it's your turn, adventurers. You are going to create a character, and you're going to do it using mostly core vocabulary. So pull up Slack if you haven't already, because this is the user participation part. What does our character look like? Rachel says that she uses screenshots of Hero Forge and uses bookcreator.com to create a story about it. So that's basically what we're talking about doing, only it's a more interactive story. It can be helpful if you think a kid, they want to create a story, but they're not quite sure, like with all the things in the whole wide world, what to do. So it can give them some boundaries to work within. All right, they're little. Our character is little. Anything else about how our character looks? That said, our character likes to read and she said small, read, go, which I am interpreting as the character likes to read and they like to go places.
What else?
Several people typed it.
They wear blue. Megan says they wear blue.
Is there anything they're aversive to? Like, don't like?
They always want more. They are fast and they do not like to work. Say Tracy, Elena, and Beth. They don't like animals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a pretty good description. I think I've got a kind of a little image here of who our character is.
Do we want to just do what the goal in life is and then keep going?
Great idea.
So what is our character's goal in life? What do they want to do? They want to know more.
Got it, Beth. No more.
Somebody said save the animals. Someone said Rhonda said read and write books.
No more.
Mayor said save the animals. Laura and Beth said game play more.
Got it. Okay. Eric, hey. Okay, yeah. So I think we've got it here, right? Do we think, Katie, Shaun, we have our character?
That's a pretty cool character. Yeah.
Katie, what do you think we should call our character? Do we name our character?
What should we name our character, chat?
Any ideas?
Adam Bokler wants to know if we have a lawful good gnome wizard. I think that we do. Zippy, says Rhonda.
Zippy it is. Okay, so Zippy, I don't have to type it in there. Watch me type Zippy. Shaun, can you work with that? Can we work with Zippy?
we're gonna have Zippy.
Okay, excellent. Now let's move on to the next slide.
All right, so now we're gonna set the world. We're gonna come up with our environment that our character is in. So again, you guys we're gonna ask you guys in the Slack to let us know where you think our story should take place. What does this place look like?
Oh, several people are typing. Library, says Tracy and Rhonda. Cold mountain, says Adam. Mystical forest, says Christine. Adam agrees that library is good. A cold mountain library. That's also in a rainforest. A mystical cold rainforest on a mountain that has a library in it. I love that.
Cool. I think that's good. Do we sound good? Shaun, that you could work with that?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Going in now.
Oh, wait. So you know what? Let me just show real quick. We can also pull in images.
Yes. Give me. All right. I'm gonna upload just a picture of a library too for later. All right.
Library, transparent, background. Let's see what comes up.
If you put transparent background after whatever you search, then it won't have that white square behind your image, and see how it's kind of, you can see the words through the image. So it's easier to stack images on top of each other to sort of create a scene.
All right, and we can do mountain.
While Chris is doing that, one thing I'd like to tell everyone, if you notice, we talked about what does it smell like, and what does the climate look like, and Katie and Chris, I'm sure you guys know about this, but there are these companies that like sell scents specifically for like D&D and role playing. Have you guys seen those?
Like tiles and stuff.
Yeah, and they're like smells that you can like smell. For those of us though who might just go to the dollar store, for instance, right? If there are specific smells that places smell like, you can turn this into a sensory experience. If the climate is that it's a rainforest, right? You get some water to kind of splash as you're going on, or the weather is rainy. You get some water to splash. You can turn it into this whole sensory experience. And yes, Beth, we will be talking about lesson picks in a little bit too.
Okay, cool. So we put some images here just to kind of, if we needed them, but we can also theater the mind this, just picture it in our minds. One thing that we can do too is that we could make maps ourselves. So this is like a graph paper, right? And they have mats that you can get that you can draw with vis-a-vis erase markers, and you can make your own little maps, or you can do it digitally. I'll just show you this real quick, this dungeon scrawl. What this allows you to do is you can create your own little map. So like if I wanted to make a little room here, right? And then I wanted to have like a little passage that went off of it, and then put another room here at the end, right? Or maybe make them connect in some way, right? And you can make your own maps. It might be super fun for students. There's measurement tools in here as well. You can see it might be a fun way to build in some of that STEAM element to what you're doing as well.
And think of all the things you can do with like core vocabulary with that, right? We can put this room on this pathway on the room. We can put it under the room. You can think of so many uses for core vocabulary.
That tool was called Dungeon Scrawl, Beth. Dungeon Scrawl. So Dungeon Scrawl, but it's in the slide deck. And then what some people do is that they actually make three-dimensional terrain. So this could be something either 3D printed, it could be something you make out of foam, and it's something where you can take some of these minis and you can paint them. A lot of people do that, which is great for the fine motor skills. OTs rejoice, right? And then kind of understanding that it takes time to build these things. It's kind of crafty, but all of that again is such a great way to work on different vocabulary skills.
I was just holding up a mini because I have these things lying around my room.
So Beth mentioned lesson picks. Making maps in lesson picks with PowerPoint is super easy. You can use something like Dungeon Scrawl. You can also, as long as you're not selling it, you can also go to the internet and just Google RPG maps, and you get something like Chris has here. And then using the lesson picks add-in, you can just insert the symbols, different symbols. So Chris has like trolls and unicorns and dragons and knights, the whole spiel in here that he has just inserted and placed them on his map. Just think too, let's say if your kiddo's using Unity, right? You can pull in on lesson picks, does have access to Unity symbols. You could just pull in those different symbols and plop them in on your map. And you have a great way to tie in their AAC device and their communication system to the map that you're doing. In a similar manner, you can, as Chris showed you before, you can easily do this through Google Slides as well. If through Google Slides, again, you make your background with the map that you're going to use, and then you just do a Google image search from the internet, and you put transparent after, and then you could slide in all the images that you want.
Okay, so adventure means that typically you're going to meet some sort of what we call NPCs, non-player characters. These are the people that are probably controlled by the dungeon master or the game master, right? So who are some people we might meet along the way? Let's describe those, chat. Who might we meet? What might they look like? How might they act? Go ahead and put some ideas in the chat. We'll type them in here.
Oh, a librarian, Rhonda says.
Makes sense. For going to
Rhonda, have you done this before? You are on point. Several people are typing. Oh, a book thief, says Tracy.
Ooh.
Big bad teacher, a sourdough baker, robot, and bored student. We have from Saskia, Elena, Rachel Fisher, and Tracy. Rhonda says she's never done this before. I don't believe her.
Okay, so and that's as easy as it is. And you can ask the group to describe, or maybe that's something you're thinking of as the game master, because you know your students. You might come up with, okay, they came up with a setting. What could I create?
And here's just an example. If you were modeling, this is just Core Universal Core 36 board. If you were modeling, trying to come up with NPCs or trying to come up with characters, who are you going to make? Where are they? What do they do? I'm moving around my mouse, but it's not gonna do anything. But look at all this vocab, and you could probably put in a lot more of this vocabulary on here. We just popped in some words that you could easily model on there.
Shaun, I'm feeling itchy. I'm ready to play. All this talk
Yeah.
about play. I'm ready to play. I'm ready for Zippy to get on some sort of adventure
Let's
and
do
see
it.
what happens to Zippy.
Let's do it. So what we are going to do is we are going to give you guys, I'm going to give you guys a bit of an overview. I'm going to read to you guys. And Chris and Katie don't know this because when we're practicing, they have to close their eyes for this part. And what we're going to put Zippy in it, and we're going to put, it's going to take place where we're going to put some of your ideas in it. Alana B had the idea of a robot being an NPC, which will work very nicely. And we're going to go through a bit of an RPG with you guys. So I'm going to give you guys the overview to start.
And then Shaun, they can put their ideas of what we want Zippy to do in the chat. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. As we're going through, and we'll come back to this slide again. Feel free to put your ideas of what's going to happen with Zippy. All right. So it is a very hot day, and what's the best on a very hot day, you guys? Ice cream, or some sort of lactose-free alternative if you can't have ice cream. I don't want to discriminate. When we arrive at the ice cream shop, we learn there is no ice cream. When Zippy arrives at the ice cream shop, Zippy realizes there is no ice cream. The owner, Mrs. Chill, tells us that her ice cream maker is missing. The FreezeBot, which is a robot, which is an ice cream maker, is an ice-making robot. While it can be programmed, it does sometimes wander off on its own looking for new ingredients. There is one more character in the ice cream shop. Mrs. Chill introduces her as Willow. Willow is an AC user. Mrs. Chill shows the two a picture of FreezeBot and asks for their help in finding the machine. So that's the overview of our story. You've been asked by Mrs. Chill. Zippy and Willow have been asked to come to help her. Now, what do you guys want to do? Chat, Slack. What do you want to do to say to her?
Kristen says, no ice cream. Oh no, where? Look.
I love that, Kristen. Awesome.
I don't know. I'm thinking Willow might be sus. Did Willow do something to the FreezeBot? I'm not sure I trust Willow here.
Saskia wants to know, where does it like to go? And Alana says we're going to help. Go look, says Tracy.
So what do you think, Katie? Should we have Zippy go over to Mrs. Chill and ask? Where did it go? Where should we look?
Maybe Mrs. Chill has an idea of where the robot has gone.
Seek.
All right, that's what we're going to do. Zippy's going to ask Miss Chill, where did it go? Where does it like to go? Where should we look?
So Mrs. Chill responds that Zippy really likes going to the library near the mystical forest, because there's a really good kind of myth there. And the robot and Zippy is often looking into the forest. Helena said, yes, into the mystical forest. And inside the mystical forest is actually a library. So Zippy will often wander off to the library and to the mystical forest looking for new ingredients.
I wonder if you're in school, you could even wander off to the library yourself and act it out and be like, we are Zippy and we are going, there's always courtyards across in the library at the schools in our district. Oh, look, there's the mystical forest outside in the courtyard and we're going to go in the library.
Kristen is saying, go library.
Go library fast, right? And that makes sense because our character Zippy likes to go fast, likes to read books. Okay. Anyone from Miss Chill won't give any. Oh, that's so great, Miss Shook. Or
all right, so let's some great ideas about going to the library and going into the forest, which will fit perfectly.
Might Zippy ask too, Shaun? Willow go with us?
Great use of core vocabulary. Yes, that's exactly it. And Willow will say yes.
So Willow and Zippy are going to go off into the library or go in search of the library to find Freezebot in the mystical forest.
In the mystical forest. The library is in the mystical forest. And the mint grows near the library.
So we go out, we will find, we will be back.
Yep. We will find, we will be back. That's all for the most part, core vocabulary. Look at that. Let's skip to the next one, I think. And the chat did an amazing job of this.
Yeah, they already did it. All right, cool.
Good job, chat.
Nailed all this.
Right. There was some other options there, though, right? I mean, we didn't talk about running away, but because it's an open world, there's lots of things that someone could say. And that is, I'm reminded of Jill Center and Matt Baud, respect and reflect, right? This is a perfect opportunity where if an AAC user says something that sort of doesn't fit with what you thought the story was going to go, it's your responsibility to go with it, right? You respect what they say, reflect on it, and the story can go in any direction. Shaun, you did a really good job setting up a problem for us. We have a missing robot on the loose, so we got to go find that robot. There are tons, there's no shortage of quests or problems or challenges that you can throw at kids that they might want to help come up with a solution for when they're in this role-playing situation. So some of these might be like rescue a character or find the hidden treasure, MacGuffins, I think they're called, like some sort of quest after an object. And then even more like maybe I just want you to go explore something and find something, or something was stolen, or there was some sort of bad guy and you stop the bad guy. I put a little home decoder wheel there as one of the things that we made in our neck of the woods, which was a way to practice vocabulary and the letter skills, like practicing letters, was to use a decoder wheel to say, here's this kind of secret message. Let's decode the message and put the words together. And what is the cipher going to unravel? That adds a whole other, a deeper element to it, but still ties in that literacy component. And then we're not playing with them today. We're not playing with them today, but we have these dice that, like Katie mentioned before, they provide some sort of element of chance to the game. So we could say, so Shaun could have said something like, you're trying to convince Willow to go with you. How good are you at convincing people? Roll a dice. And if you get higher than a 10, I got a 17, Shaun. I think I'm pretty good at convincing. Zippy's probably pretty good at convincing Willow to come with us. But I rolled a 3. You got to try that again. Those words you're using aren't working. Try something else. Or maybe Willow's not coming with you, you know? It's a magical library.
I like Chris, it's a massive library. I like Chris's picture better, though, that he put together. But all right, so we're going to pick back up with our story here. So we get to the library, you guys, in the mystical forest. Willow and Zippy are there. And they can hear something. As they're in the library, they can hear something. It's like a very sci-fi-esque 60s beeping that a robot that you might see on like a science fiction program from like the 60s.
Beep, 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 beep.
There you go. Katie's nailed it. So Zippy and Willow go closer and closer they go inside the library, and they're just following. They're beelining it because someone said go fast. They are going fast towards this very old school looking bookshelf here. And it's coming from this one book in particular. And Zippy reaches out and grabs this book and pulls it. And all of a sudden, it opens. The bookshelf opens. And Zippy and what is that? That's right, Rhonda. What is that? Willow says, "What is that?" On with her talker, and they open it up, and they look inside. What is inside? Let's go to the next slide. They hear, the first thing they see is this giant forest, and As they're looking straight out, they still hear the sound, the beeping, and they see this door that's inside of a cliff that's maybe 100 yards away from them. They go as quickly as they can to the door, and the closer they get, the louder the sound is. And Chris, if you press the beep bop beep boop there, they'll hear the sound getting louder. If it works, I don't know if it's going to work. Are you guys hearing that?
This would be a great auditory discrimination task if you're working with your hard of hearing folks. Can you hear it? Can you hear the B-E-E? Motivating them to do some of that tough listening. Sorry.
That's okay. So they had, that's right. You're 100% right though, Katie. That would work awesome. So we have found FreezeBot. They're sure that's FreezeBot in there or some other robot, but chances are it's FreezeBot. But FreezeBot is locked behind this door. They look closer. Upon further investigation, they notice a set of images in an area just above the door, this door inside the cliff.
Like right up here?
Yes, right there.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's go to the next one.
So there's some more words.
And there, again, more opportunity to model, right? We need help. There we go. And Katie's doing it as well.
Keep going. I lost myself. I'm looking for needing.
We do it. All sorts of.
Yeah. So.
Upside down modeling is hard.
What you guys are going to have to do to unlock FreezeBot is, can you use the words immediately available to you? So again, thinking of core vocabulary, maybe a little bit of fringe, to describe these pictures. The answer will unlock. You can tell us in the Slack. So there's a cheetah, there's police, there's traffic lights, and the volcano.
Ooh, it's a riddle to unlock the possibilities.
Yes. And on the next slide is actually a core board we popped in here in case you guys need that, in case you don't have access to one.
So what do we think, chat? What do we think, Slack?
I can hold this up too if somebody.
I'm hearing jump, go, run from Beth.
My guess, Shaun, is that there'd be before words, one per picture.
Yes. But this is but we would also create this very much, though, I think, Chris, in a no-fail way, right? So
yeah,
no
totally.
matter what they use, this is very much a descriptive language task. So no matter what language they use, we would accept it.
Go for it. I might see, depending on the user, Shaun, I could see saying that's close and be modeling close, or not yet, try again, like all that good core vocabulary to say, yeah, that's not right, but it's you're getting warmer.
Yeah. Specifically if they have specific IEP goals that they're targeting.
So we got Sarah Gregory says, jump, over, look out. Tracy says, run, jump, go, help. Run, stop, hot.
The red thing is a volcano, yes, Beth. Sometimes that's the issue with using transparent images, as it can be.
Go fast, help hot. Jump hot, go help.
What do you think, Shaun?
I think we're hearing lots of great answers. I think they might have unlocked FreezeBot.
Yay, we unlocked FreezeBot by using our core vocabulary words. Sweet.
My husband is often the game master for our group. And one thing that he does is he sets up a puzzle and then he listens to us talk about it. And when we come up with a solution he likes, he's like, you got it.
That is kind of what I pretty much always do with this. Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So then we come up with the ending, right, Shaun? What happens at the end of the story?
Yeah, what is the problem? What has been solved? Are they going to solve it? Oh, this is a you one, Chris.
Sorry, yeah. But I guess what I was getting at is that the story has to end at some point.
Yes.
And every story has some sort of resolution, right? If you watch The Librarians, it always wraps up at the end, or it keeps you going maybe with a little hint of what comes next. But the problem gets solved, right? And sometimes there's like a reward at the end. Some sort of treasure or loot or some sort of renown that you get. Sometimes it's just helping Miss Chill is the reward in itself.
And Tracy nailed it. You all get ice cream. Everyone gets ice cream. And we all say we like it. We like ice cream.
So, because they bring Freezebot back to Miss Chill, right?
Yep, they bring Freezebot back to Miss Chill, and Freezebot is able to make the most delicious, yummy ice cream or lactose-free alternative ice treat for them. And we did it. And everyone gets yummy ice cream.
Yeah. Awesome. So now our story wraps up here towards the end of the session, but it doesn't have to actually end there. Well, it could. It could be the next time you're going to play, you could create a whole new character named Skippy instead of Zippy or whatever, a brand new character. Or maybe you kind of got attached to Zippy and you want the experience to continue on. A one shot means it happens all in one setting, one sitting, from the time you sit down to play to the time that you're done playing. The story has a beginning, middle, and end, and it all fits nicely into this one play session. But a campaign goes on and on and on, where Zippy comes back next time and Miss Chill has another problem. Or maybe it's not Miss Chill, it's someone else. We can always come up with different scenarios. And maybe the Zippy wants to go someplace else. Or maybe Zippy and Willow has a problem this time, and they interact together to carry the story forward. The power of role-playing games, like I said, it is that collaborative storytelling experience, but some ancillary stuff that you can weave in there that have curricular applications are like the math and science. That riddle that we had could have just as easily been some sort of math problem for someone to solve, some sort of coding problem for them to solve. There could be a financial reward. You got to put a certain dollar amount into Freezebot to unlock that ice cream now that you got him, right? Maybe that's the reward. All sorts of different ways you can tie into STEAM concepts. I particularly like this idea too of thinking in 3 dimensions. So often what we do is 2-dimensional on paper, but so much of this theater of the mind then translates to 2 dimensions instead of actually thinking of it in 3 dimensions. That's why we sort of like the power of the minis and the manipulatives, things that you can tactile. It helps you think in 3 dimensions, that you're moving up and back and over and side, not just on 2 dimensions on the plane of paper,
There is so much good stuff here. Like I said, I was a secondary SLP for 8 years, and we did the hero's journey. We did, by we, I mean me and their English teachers, the plot diagram, the thing that goes up and down, and you've got the climax and your resolution and everything. You have your different kinds of conflicts they learned about: man versus man, man versus nature, man versus self. It can be excellent motivation for writing or journaling, different points of view from different characters. Even if you've got a kiddo that's just at those very emerging stages of literacy, just have them do that pretend writing, make those scribbles or bang those keys, make marks on the page, and then be like, oh, you read it to me, tell me. And then you write it underneath. Y'all know all this good stuff that you can do. Just put it in the context of this story that they have made with you and give them ownership over it.
Students that I work with create a blog and maintain a website where they put their drawings. Whoops, I didn't mean to go there. Where they put their drawings that they do, like all the art that goes with it, and then write up little stories. But the main reason, what we want to leave you with here, right on the dot at the end, is that it's fun, man. It's fun. Look at those smiles. Look at that laughter. That's what school should be about, not drill and kill, not compliance. It's about stuff like this, where kids want to come back and play again the next day. Any final questions? Yeah.
This was
Right on the
super
dot.
fun, guys. You guys were a great group.
Yes, thank you everyone for all that amazing participation. You guys did awesome.
All right, well, I want to thank you guys again for presenting. We had a lot of comments in the Slack channel, so they were pretty excited about it and things we can take back to our classrooms and such. So we appreciate you all presenting, and want you to have a good rest of the day.